I think you always have to be curious. I think you always have to ask questions. I think you always have to ask why, what, how. A lot of people believe that they have two choices: to be single or to be in a bad relationship. Love is when there's nothing I'm doing that I wouldn't rather be doing with her. It means that every experience I have or every thought I have, I want to be able to share it with her.
Stars About Stars and me, Iryna, we are greeting you. And today we have a special guest. He's the founder of the Great Love Debate, the best matchmaking show in all 50 states. And actually, he's the owner of the studio we are sitting in. Brian Howie.
Everywhere. Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for an opportunity. I really want to know, because today we talk about love and about stars. Do you believe in love and do you believe in power? Stars.
I do believe in love. And I think in order to believe in love, you have to define what love means for you. Because I think love is a very nebulous concept. And, you know, we could say we love pizza, we love dogs, we love person. And so the word we use a lot, I think you have to define it. But I do believe in it. I believe in the romantic definition of love. The stars, I don't know if I believe in the stars, but every time I say that, something happens and I feel like I should believe more. I think I don't believe because I don't understand. I think if I understood, I would believe.
So you mentioned that people have to define what is love, first of all, for themselves and what their common or their personal goals to get that love and bring it to their life. What prevents people, from your experience, from being in a relationship?
Two things. First of all, fear. I think people are afraid of being rejected or they're afraid of being hurt. The other thing is, I don't think they believe that it is possible. A lot of people believe that they have two choices: to be single or to be in a bad relationship. And they look at the possibility of being in a good relationship as a much smaller percentage. They look at it like to being in the stars, Pluto, way out here, that it's not. Yeah. If they could believe that it was a possibility and they could see a path clearly to get there, I believe a lot more people would be more enthusiastic about it, more open to it. But because all of us have been so hurt, shaped, jaded by our past experiences, that a lot of people tend to go into protective mode that prevents them from recognizing and acting on opportunities all around them every single day.
Your heart is still not taken, but you know so many women. What happened?
You know, a guy at Starbucks knows a lot of women. We all know a lot of women. Who doesn't know a lot of women? I think that I was, can we get into the deep Brian Howie stuff here? My parents have been together for 55 years.
Good example.
Well, bad example. I'm not sure they even like each other. Ooh. So the example, because I did not trust their love for each other, I didn't necessarily trust their love for me, which means that I didn't entirely trust the concept. And I had to do a lot of work and go to therapy to sort of recognize that the negative influence of that atmosphere made me be like, oh, they've been married a lot, that they don't seem that happy. So I wasn't like, oh, I need to have what they have. So part of me pulled back and been like, I want to stay out of a marriage because it doesn't seem.
You've never been married?
Never been married, but it's only 4 o'clock.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, no, I've never been married. I don't know if I was capable of being married till about 5 years ago, when I started to really do the work and be open to it and understand why I would be in several long relationships, but I would only go so far in it. I wouldn't go to that scary emotional place that you need to be in a relationship. So I would say that I was really good at boyfriend. And that's different from being good at husband or something like that. So I would take it to like, no, I'm happy with this. I wouldn't go to that scary place because I think that going back to my parents, I didn't trust the whole concept of it. But I am capable now, I think.
We have zodiac questions and we start. Your birthday number is 29. People with this number are fast, spontaneous, moving a lot, creative and persistent. You're currently based in two cities, as I know, and you just came back from a beautiful, stunning Arizona. Tell me, please, what is about that combination? Why have you chosen that state? And do you want your woman to travel with you that much?
Yes and yes. I think that I've always wanted to live in places where people wanted to visit their whole lives, where they wanted to, so people come, they've saved up their whole lives to come to South Florida. They wanted to get out of the cold and come to Florida. They wanted to come to Arizona. So the energy that is in these places, no offense to anybody here who lives anywhere, but people don't aspire their whole lives to go to Detroit or Cleveland. So I have lived in New York City, and I've lived in Paris, and I've lived in Los Angeles. And I always loved the tourists being around because they were so excited to visit where you live.
And you're from New York.
And I like that. I'm from New York. So here, I think people are happier here because people are getting away from the cold and the snow and the stress of life, and they come to Florida and they come to Arizona. So I think that energy is a positive place to live.
Tell me, please, do you love the process of conquering a woman's heart, or you want somebody who is just open to you immediately?
That's a good question. I always, there's a bit of a misperception that men like to chase. They don't like to chase. They like to pursue, which means the difference is chasing is going after a moving target. Pursuing means if she holds the bar right here, we will do whatever we can to get there. What we don't like is her moving it all around in a moving target and she doesn't know what she wants or whatever. That's hard. So, we don't need the instantly like they fall over and they're in love with you, but you need to know that you're headed in the right direction. You need to know that something you're saying is getting through to her.
What is this sexiest feature in a woman for you?
Her laugh or her smile, one of the two. Laughing can be a little bit more instinctive and you could catch her off guard and get a laugh, but smiling, you have to trigger something inside. In order to get somebody to smile, she might not even be aware if she's smiling. I think it's harder to get somebody to smile than to laugh. And if you can make her smile, that means you've connected with her in some way that is, I think, deep and meaningful. That and her legs.
From your experience as an expert, what are three basic main things for a woman and for a man in relationships?
I think a woman needs to feel special. I think she needs to feel sexy. And I think she needs to feel safe. And safe is about trust and sharing and honesty and vulnerability that not all human beings are very readily able to share. And I think the man, he needs to feel admired or respected. I think he needs to feel appreciated. And I think he needs to feel needed. I think we need to know that I know you're all strong, independent women. That's why God made you the mothers. You can all take care of yourself. You can do, but on some level, we want to know that somehow if we are in your world, we're going to make it better. And that's about you needing us on some level. We know you can buy your own stuff and we know you can fix things and do everything, but on some level, let us be present and be there for you.
No, I personally do support an idea that women need men and men need women.
I agree with that too. And I know we're sort of going in the wrong direction as a society, that we're taught that we don't need each other and we're all independent, whatever. I think we absolutely need. I think we all need somebody special. I think we need one person in our lives that we can care about and count on and trust and share and all those kind of things. And I think most people agree with that. Now, most people don't believe they can find that one person, but I think if you offered that scenario, it's just you and this person in this trusting, honest, sharing, loving relationship, everybody would sign up for that.
Question number 2, your life path number is 7. This number gives an appreciation in friendship and sometimes too much independence in relationships. It is this reason why the biggest matchmaker in 50 states is still single or not?
Well, I travel a lot. Sometimes people travel because they don't have a reason to stay home. And I think some people travel to
So you need a traveler.
Things.
You need somebody with no baggage who is ready to go after you.
Or somebody says, you know what, let's just stay here. Let's just not travel. Give you a reason to be grounded. Like you want to feel grounded with that person.
What about kids? Is it a reason?
Is that a reason? I don't have them. I don't necessarily want them. I don't know if I want kids. I like kids and I'm open to somebody else's kids, but I don't know if I need kids. But maybe I could be wrong. It's in the stars, right? A lot of people want kids because they haven't found the love in another person. And so they feel like I will have kids to love me, and they feel like they can make human beings to love them because they haven't. So a lot of people have kids for the wrong reason like that. Yeah. My kids will love me if a man or a woman won't. So, you know.
And 60% of young generation doesn't want to go into relationships. Is it the different reason from previous generation, or there is something extra happening right now? What do you think?
Yes, there is. You can get a lot of stimulation in a lot of different ways than having to sit across the table from another person. They have visuals. You can have virtual reality experiences. You can have a lot. So they are not forced to encounter. And now I think a lot of people thought that it was better. And then we all got locked down for a couple of years and we couldn't be around each other. I think people realize that we really do need other human beings and to physically touch and to share space with them. I think they were not, I think they'll grow out of that. I think somebody's 22 now, they're very self-centered and they want to just do whatever. I think eventually people will come around to being in a happy relationship with another person will always be better. It will. And people they get their stimuli from video games or porn or a lot of different ways that probably weren't as accessible before. And I think eventually they will come around to the fact that, yeah, I need actual love and relationship with another human being. So I think as they age, they will come back to that.
I do personally support that type of relationship in which you can grow.
Yeah.
Definitely, in all possible ways.
Want to learn how to love yourself and build up healthy relationships with yourself and others? Download Gemini Miami. It's your one-stop shop for all self-discovery tools with access to the community of like-minded individuals.
Question number 3. People with Virgo ascendant. Ascendant, it's a thing in astrology, what people think about you, how they take you. So your ascendant is in Virgo that develops the best through spiritual analysis. Actually, I don't know if people know that side of you or not, but that's how they see you, as a deep person with psychological life understanding. Actually, because you do some kind of coaching for them as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
So what do you think? How to develop awareness in life and relationships also?
I think you always have to be curious. I think you always have to ask questions. I think you always have to ask why, what, how, and not just take things for granted. I think the more you raise questions, the more answers you will find. And a lot of people skip that part. A lot of people just want the answers and they forget about asking the questions. And so it's on each of us to figure out what are the questions that inspire us, that trigger us, that make us want to learn things. And I think a lot of people tend to skip over that and just want people to do all the work for them. You know, I question a lot of things because I want to come up with my own path and my own answers. And is there a better way to do things? And I don't know.
And do you believe yourself in signs of the universe?
I think you have to. I think you have to believe in, because you don't really have an answer unless you there's always going to be a point where you're going to have to understand the universe to get all the answers that you want, or at least ask the questions of the universe. It's written in the stars, right?
Not always, but I don't want to say that I rely on stars, but I do respect, because it's part of the nature. It's like weather outside. Would you go against snow today? Probably you will choose the best coat you have, the most warm one.
Right.
The same way I take astrology. It's good to know. It's all about energy. It's all about your personal decision making and so on. Mm-hmm. You have to trust your gut, your heart, and to be intuition follower.
Yeah.
So this ascendant of Virgo gives you self-criticism. Does it relate? And if you had an opportunity to change something in yourself, which trait would you choose?
That's a good question. That's another good question. I think that I would be a better listener. And I've gotten better. I'm not nearly where I need to be. I think that hearing different perspectives has great. And I've traveled all over the world. So I've asked questions of hundreds of thousands of people. But I think for a lot of those questions, I was asking questions because I wanted to give the answer. So I'd raise the question and been like, here's the answer. And I think I have gotten better, and I need to be better at accepting that I don't necessarily have all the answers, and I need to hear other answers. And so if I could change that, I probably would.
You know, that's what they say. When you heal somebody, actually, you're healing yourself because everybody is a mirror of another person in the universe. The highest point of your horoscope touches Gemini. It says that your work must be very varied and stimulating, and otherwise you will be immediately bored. It's one, actually, of the reasons why you have chosen matchmaking industry.
Well, I've always been fascinated by the dynamic between men and women. And I thought that if I studied it, I would get all of the answers and then I would get all the keys to the kingdom. So I know more than a lot of people, but I only know 5% of what there is to know. So constantly asking that, I'm curious about it naturally. These are conversations that I would have in my non-work life. These are questions. These are conversations that I enjoy having. I enjoy having this conversation, even if we weren't doing a podcast. So I think if you can make that part of your career, having conversations and asking questions and finding answers about things that you are interested in naturally, that's a pretty good way to do things.
You know what I say, that you build up your business in a successful way in two cases: on things that you do know a lot, so deep and good, and when you don't know nothing.
I think you're right.
Yeah, you're so creative, so cool in this communication. And from the other side, you're missing your love still. Right. So actually, it's a good balance. Would you like your woman to work with you?
Sure. If she was passionate about what we were doing and creating something together, I think is great. I think it's romantic.
And let's say if she's a dating coach for men, would you accept that?
Sure. It means that she cared about, I think somebody's a dating coach for men, they want men to be better. So I should get some of the answers. I should be helped. I think men want to be coached. I think men want to be trained, for lack of a better word. I think men want to know what it is that we can do that will make you happy.
Not everybody would say yes in this case, believe me.
All we know is what the last girl liked, and we probably found that out too late. We want to know. If you said, listen, I'm going to show you what it takes to be my man and to make me happy, we'll do whatever. I'll be great. Give me that information. You know, I think it makes things a lot easier and a lot better. But sometimes the woman doesn't know. All the woman knows a lot of times is what doesn't make her happy and what she doesn't like. So it's not as easy for her to tell him what she wants or likes because she hasn't given nearly as much thought as the things she doesn't like, which makes it harder for both people. If I ask a woman right now, what do you want in a man? You've done this. They'll give me 5 things they don't want. That list is right there. And if you say, what do you want? They haven't given that nearly as much thought.
People born under the sign of Scorpio can think very clearly. They have a good judgment and can access situation very well. Do you have anything that you judge in the behavior of the opposite sex?
I think what irritates me is poor communication. I think I want to hear as much information as possible, good and bad, so I can understand you better. A lot of women say, oh, he could tell what I was thinking. We can't tell what you're thinking. We have no idea what you're thinking. And so women say, I shouldn't have to say this. I shouldn't have to do this. He should know. We don't know. I want to know. But that's the whole thing. You bring up the Scorpio thing. A lot of women will not date any Scorpios.
Why? They're very passionate?
They're afraid that they will get loved and left. A lot of women are like, I will not ever date another Scorpio again. I hear that all the time.
Next question. Few aspects in your birth chart reading demonstrate financial success and prosperity. Do you like ambitious women?
I prefer passion. I don't care if you're ambitious as long as you have passion about something. There's something that gets you out of bed in the morning. There's something that motivates you. There's something that you care about. That's probably ambitious. Sometimes involves getting to the top, stepping over people.
We are slaves of our ambitious.
Yeah, I know. I think passion is probably the word I prefer to ambition. So they're probably sisters. Passion and ambition are probably crazy sisters. But I want somebody who wants something out of life. Yes, even if she wants to climb a mountain. Like, I think that's ambition. You know, that's also passion.
Sun conjunction Moon creates an artistic personality. We all came from childhood. Tell me, please, what you were involved in being a child. What did you admire?
I always wanted to be a writer. I always wrote. And my parents thought that was a waste of my intelligence. They wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was fun. I didn't think doing something that didn't have an element of imagination was a good thing. And my father said to me once, never go into a career that relies on your imagination. And I said, because he said, what's going to happen when you run out of ideas? And I said, there shouldn't ever be a limit on ideas and there shouldn't ever be a limit on imagination. And we saw opposite on that forever. He thought it was a risky way to make a living is to try and make a living off of creativity.
You know what is my personal belief? Because I'm a poet and I'm a writer. I do believe as a poet, first of all, that everything is already written in this space. It could be article, it could be poem, it could be novel, that we just steal it from God. Your Mercury takes place in Scorpio in the 3rd house of horoscope. It's house of your brothers and sisters and close communication surrounding. Stars say that you express yourself with ease and have different talents that actually we just discussed. Do you have any education in the relationship industry itself, or it just came from your heart?
It came from my brain. It came from, like I said, wondering why it seems so difficult for men and women, or maybe me and my girlfriends, to communicate, to understand each other, to grow, to all that. And I thought if I start asking questions, I would get an understanding that would help me more. And then the more I did that, and the more I started to be curious and ask questions, I realized that not enough people were asking these questions. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to do it. I'll ask the questions of all these people and try and find some answers. Men don't usually get as interested in this stuff as women do. Women are the dating coaches and the matchmakers, and it's a very female dominated thing. The men aren't necessarily in touch with that. The men are more about the answers than the questions. I've always been about the questions. So yeah, that's why, I was always a writer and a director and a producer, and I sort of got interested in the subject matter. For 20 years or so, I've been writing and creating content about men and women. But I would always filter it through a character or a book or something like that. This is only when I started to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to ask the questions, myself, that I started to really find some answers.
And what's your main education?
I was an English major, so I knew how to write, and I still know how to write. Yeah, I majored in English at college, and I thought I was going to be a novelist and write a book, but I wasn't quite that talented. So I started to do television, and then I started to do film, and then I started to do theater, and it all went on from there.
Moon opposition Venus. This aspect creates confusion about real feelings and emotional needs. Did you have experience with few relationships at the same time?
I always said, if you have 2 relationships, it's because you don't have one. Because if you had,
that's what my mother always says.
If you had one, you wouldn't need 2. And if somebody says, if you have 2 women or you have 2 men, you definitely like the second one better, because if you like the first one enough, you wouldn't have the second one.
What's your longest relationship?
6 years, 7 years.
What about your first love?
I don't remember her, so it can't be that. My first love, like who was the first, like, I love you love? I think I remember that, but now I was like, oh, what was I thinking? We when you look back, a lot of times, because you're a different person at 21 than you are at 31 or 41 or 51. It's just, life changes. So the things that you liked then, or that interested you then, or the position you were in, I'm like, oh yeah, her. Yeah.
Okay. And where is this exact point, the relationship started?
That's a good question too. I think a relationship starts when, I take this a little more serious than people. When do I consider myself in a relationship is when there's nothing that I'm doing that I wouldn't rather be doing with her. Meaning there's no question that the person I want to see Saturday night is her. And then I will let her know that. A lot of times people want to put a label on a relationship by saying, am I your boyfriend? Am I your girlfriend? Where are we? And I think it's not about that. I think it's about a feeling. Do we want to see each other tonight, tomorrow night? Do I think about you when I'm not with you? And then it means that there's something there beyond just a couple of dates. Does that make sense? I don't know. I mean, the relationship, you could say the relationship doesn't start until you've had sex, because the sex changes everything. And so you're kind of waiting till that point. And then if you can get past that point, then you're at a new point. Everything is sort of hurdles that you have to get over. A very important night for a couple is the first night after they've had sex where they shared a bed and didn't have sex. It meant that they were comfortable enough that they didn't necessarily have to do it every time. They just wanted to share space. That's an important night too. And I think people overlook that. A lot of people use sex as a reward or this is what this means or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean any of those things. It means whatever you want it to mean separately from the relationship. It means that we are adult enough to handle whatever this means, because people can date a long time and then have sex and see where it goes, or people can have sex on the first day and see where that goes. I think people put too much emphasis on the sex means this. No, it's not the sex means this. It's how you interpret and deal with the repercussions of the sex that means something.
Brian, what has been the most romantic action you've done in a relationship?
I flew to the other side of the world just to see somebody for 24 hours.
You could be very demanding. That's what stars say. Please tell me, what do you demand from yourself, first of all?
I'm a little needy.
Oh.
I do demand attention, I think. I do demand...
Are you the only one kid in the family?
No, I have two sisters, but I'm not close to them, and I never was. I was the only boy. And so I grew up with two sisters who did not want to play sports. They want to play with the ball. They want to play with me. So I was kind of alone. We lived in Paris when I was a kid for a while.
Really?
A lot of people didn't. So at that age, there weren't a lot of English speaking kids around. I just spent a lot of time alone.
Do you speak French?
As a child. Sometimes if I have to. If I'm in France, I can speak French.
Cool.
I forget. Sometimes I speak too much Spanish, but yeah. So I think I'm needy. I do. I'm a lot more like the traditional woman, I think, than the man. I need to hear good morning. I need to hear good night. I need to hear thank you and I'm sorry and I love you.
I think that's a good thing.
I think so too, but a lot of women are like, oh my God, he knows. We don't know.
Ryan, final question.
Okay.
Do you have any dream, goal, ambition maybe, to become a politician who's going to influence marriage nowadays?
Yeah, that's funny. I thought about, I think about that all the time and people tell me that all the time. I think you want to be in a position to make a difference and to make change, whether that's in your community or that's in your state. Zelensky's not that much different from me.
He was a comedian, and he's a great president. And
I think about that all the time. I think that you have to have the strong woman besides you to do that. I think that is a partnership decision. I don't think that's a job for a bachelor.
So you're going to be ready for politics as soon as you find the best lady.
I think I need the first lady. Yeah. I don't think Melania wanted that. I think a lot of women, maybe they like it once they get it, but I don't think a lot of women want that attention. No,
I think it's more about to follow your man.
Yeah, I think so too.
Everywhere, no matter what.
Right. But I think you have to look at it like a partnership.
Definitely.
I think we are
100%.
If I'm doing this, you got to be supportive and we're doing this together. And yeah, I believe that.
That's a great thing. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.